Resistance base is open, and that means it is time for the Resistance broadcast. Welcome back, everybody. My name is John Hoey. Thank you so much for joining us today. Being a part of the Resistance, we have a great show in store for you today. We're going to talk about Boba Fett being dead again, this time in film format, and a bunch of other stuff. But before we get into that, let's welcome in the crew with James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. Guys, what is going on? How are you?
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot of interesting things going on, especially with the Resistance. I'm just kidding, we're on video!
We are on video.
I am so sorry to all the audio people right now.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah!
For you audio people listening, James just actually got out of his chair for the first time in the history of the podcast.
Nope.
He hasn't
They're not
left in
allowed to
years.
know. You got to go to youtube.com, put in the Resistance broadcast or Star Wars Newsnet, and subscribe to the channel if you want to start getting some of these videos. How you doing, Lacey?
You stayed in your chair, but you're still excited, I can tell.
Yeah, I love video. Hi, everyone. What's going on? I wear glasses. Not many people know that.
Now, guys,
Fun fact.
before we get rolling here, there is another thing that we did announce if you saw on Twitter and if you saw our article on StarWarsNewsNet.com for last week's podcast. We are launching our Patreon page a week from today. So if you guys are interested, make sure you follow us on our Twitter account. That's where we're most active. But also listen in this coming Thursday where we're going to have a discussion about all the details about the Patreon account and gear up because there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming, different tiers and everything. So we'll get more into that later. I see James rubbing his hands together. He's very excited to get rolling here. And Lacey will be running the page. So be
No
nice
pressure.
to Lacey. Be nice. Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure.
But welcome again, joining us on YouTube. This is our first video version of the podcast, so buckle up because it may get a little rough, but we're here with you. We're glad you're here with us, and for everyone obviously listening on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and everywhere else, welcome to the Resistance broadcast once again. Guys, are you ready to start our episode today?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, so as always, let's
Punch it.
start off with the... Poor rundown. The poor rundown. We need more news.
It's still alive, we swear.
Yeah, it is still there. The Falcon is in the shop, just like Lacey's Star Wars Newsnet show. But she said that last week. So I'm not burning her ears. All right, so our
No,
poll
it's my
results,
fault.
which we just found out today that the next movie or project being done by Benoiff and Weiss will be the first Star Wars movie in their Star Wars series of films, which puts our poll right in the eye of relevancy. So good for us. We had asked you guys.
We did it.
We matched something up. How
One
about it?
time!
All right. We said, do you guys expect David Benoiff and D.B. Weiss's new series of Star Wars films to take place in the Old Republic? 10% of you said no, but something familiar. 21% of you said no, something brand new. 28% said yes about Knights of the Old Republic. And 41% of you out there, the winning vote, said yes, but not about Knights of the Old Republic. Were you guys surprised about these results? We're looking at 69% of the vote saying yes, Old Republic, with about two-thirds of that saying not about KOTOR. What do you guys think?
So 69 dudes. Let's see here.
Is it Bill and Ted?
It's Bill and Ted for sure.
Bill
I
and
love
Ted.
Bill and Ted.
Okay.
I actually missed this one, so I kind of saw it a little bit earlier, and I was surprised that the results were what they were. Yes, but not about Knights of the Old Republic specifically, like the game is probably the most realistic answer because I don't think they're going to try to recreate that specifically. Like they're not going to bring that story to life. They're just going to do what they've done with other stuff. Where it's like, okay, well, we have this character Thrawn, or we have this character Darth Bane, or whatever, and they kind of recreate their new thing. So I think that's probably the correct answer, which is why it did the best. But I am actually really surprised that 21% of people or 10% of people, that's a pretty huge chunk. That's 1/3 of people saying no, it's not going to be about Knights about the Old Republic.
With 1 out of 5 of those saying something completely brand new with no affiliation to something we've seen.
Yes, yeah. And the whole announcement of them getting ready to do it as the next thing is cool, because where does that place it in comparison with Rian Johnson as well too? That's a whole other topic, but it was kind of cool to hear that news. Like, we might get this first, which has been speculated on. Lacey, what do you think about these poll results?
I voted that it was going to be Knights of the Old Republic because that's what I want. So
28? Okay.
All
right.
I think it's going to be definitely in that time period. I think it's so funny because, again, I go back to this all the time, but it's so true. Like, John and I were so positive they weren't going to do the Mandalorian stuff, but they did. So I think this is a prime example of people being like, no, they'll never do Knights of the Old Republic. And I'm like, I think they might. It's just such a beloved, game and time period that I think people really want it. I want to see it, and I think they're perfect for it with Game of Thrones background. Let's do this. That's what I want.
I think where they have to be a little careful is flirting with the people in the Outer Rim, which I call the Legends fans. Those people they're great and I love them, but they take their KOTOR and all that stuff very seriously. And I've seen that even in a couple of comments on our podcast episode recently where we talked about, will this happen? They are worried about them redoing it and ruining their version of KOTOR and that stuff, and that's dangerous turf for Disney and Lucasfilm to dip their toe in, especially the backlash with TLJ and stuff like that. So maybe a clean slate, new type of thing is the way to go. But I'm with Lacey. That would be cool to see Knights of the Old Republic. Although I have to admit, I forgot how I voted in this poll. I don't remember.
that Knights of the Old Republic or Old Republic fans are more precious to the material than, say, someone like Thrawn and the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
I don't know, and the only reason why I'll say that is it seemed like Thrawn, because it was Timothy Zahn coming back, it kind of canceled out if Timothy Zahn did it, it would have been right. It's like, he did it. It was the same guy. So
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know who wrote the story for KOTOR, for the game and that stuff. And I don't really care, to be honest with you, but you got the Game of Thrones guys. I think they can do just as good of a job with the storytelling as someone who did that, in my opinion. But we did have
of course, they're known to change the story of the written material.
That's very true.
Yeah, but have they changed it for the better or for the worse? That's the question.
Always debatable. Yeah, who knows?
Well, this is how I go. If there is a movie or a show about something, I ain't reading the book version of it, okay?
That's what James Baney is for.
It's like, you ever see the movie Airheads, where they're like 97 copies of Moby Dick, and she's like, do you want the book or the movie? He's like, they made a book out of that? Okay. All right, so the best comment went to one of our biggest commenters, Mr. Trash Buddha at Ronin So High. And
Trash.
He said, I hope it takes place in the Old Republic, even if it is a whole new story and characters, because it just feels right for the guys who gave us Game of Thrones to take on that era. But even if it's not Old Republic era, I still expect it to be action-packed and awesome. So thank you, Mike, I believe is his real name. So thank you for that comment. You got the most likes, so you got the best comment. Good job. All right, so that wraps up our polls for this week. We'll pop up another one and get that out to you guys probably today or tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But now it is time. We actually have news to talk about, sort of, this week. So it is time to fire up the Resistance Report. James Baney, what do we have going on this week?
It's the Resistance.
All right, this week we need to cue in some taps for the Boba Fett movie, the Boba Fett fans. They're getting the Mandalorian, but this movie is officially dead. And what's funny about this, when I first read this, I tweeted out that I read it as Kathleen Kennedy confirms that Boba Fett is 100% dead. But I missed the word movie. Right. And I was like, whoa, that changes everything. But it's just the movie. And not that that's not important. But yeah, this was just a conversation somebody was having. And then they reposted it on Twitter. This came from a verified account, though. So, it's not like this person is just making something up. I just want to say, I want to ask you guys, like, what you think about this. We have talked about in the past that this Boba Fett movie was going to be most likely about the gang, the bounty hunters that we saw in Empire Strikes Back that were aboard the Star Destroyer. So this might take place in that time frame, these people as they were then. And when it was originally written, it was supposed to be Josh Trank from Chronicle, and at the time he was working on Fantastic Four. That all fell apart. Yeah, go read about that if you don't know about that. All of it fell apart. It was real bad. They disconnected with him. Although I still think if it really was about the bounty hunters and you kind of want to bring in that Chronicle element, that could have been really cool. But I don't know. He was mentally unstable or unhealthy at the time, wasn't prepared to go into Star Wars. So
wasn't it around Fantastic Four too?
He was in the process of making it, or it was done, and but there were so many problems on the set of him like leaving, like he just left the production. There was all sorts of stuff like on set. So like I said, there was problems that he was having even like with himself, or personal problems that just didn't even have anything to do with the production. But guys, let's get back to Boba Fett. Boba Fett movie done. John, how happy are you?
I'm very happy. Yeah, they flew this idea right into the side of a sail barge, just bing, right into
You
the
mean
pit.
right into the Sarlacc pit?
Right into the Sarlacc pit. It burped.
There's
and
the
that
title.
Movie, yeah. So what I'm thinking about this is it's dead for now, and I'm sure we'll see Boba Fett again at some point. Because it makes me think about that whole thing about how they were going to incorporate Bossk into Solo and make him the second in command to Enfys Nest or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So it's almost like they're still putting these guys on hold for use in another way down the line. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens there. I'm not surprised that they canned it because I don't think Boba Fett he's a side character. He's a small character as cool as even the biggest fans of Boba Fett. You have to admit he's just kind of a side character. For him to carry his own movie doesn't make sense. I don't even know if it makes sense for him to carry his own TV show. Maybe that's why The Mandalorian exists. Now, with that said, I do think we will see Boba Fett again, like you're saying, in an ensemble, something down the road. So I think while Kathleen Kennedy is saying the Boba Fett movie as it stood is 100% dead, Boba Fett appearing in a movie of a different path could happen down the line, I think.
Lacey, when Rogue One was being written, that was something John Knoll had thought about for a long time. I want to write a story. I want to make a movie about this particular element. You got to think he was one of few that thought that. But there's got to be tons of people who wanted to write stories about that group of bounty hunters on the Star Destroyer. Do you think that they're ever going to come back to this, or do you think that they're just going to avoid it altogether, maybe give each one of them their own stories, but never link them up like it was intended here for this film?
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to write that story. I think you're getting it with The Mandalorian, and I think that's kind of where they're going to leave it for now. Maybe like after I'm dead, like way down the road. I can't see them doing it anytime soon.
Jeez.
Okay.
Sorry.
So you really don't like Boba Fett at all. Who
I'm not
hates
saying I
Boba
don't
Fett
like it.
more?
I don't.
Lacey
Okay.
Lacey hates Boba Fett so bad she wants to be dead before it happens. So
I never said that I didn't want it to happen. I just said that I don't think it's going to happen. And I know I just upset some people. I'm sorry. I don't think it is. I think they have other priorities. Like an Obi-Wan
all right,
Kenobi.
to the Make Solo 2 happen backers, what do you guys think about if the Boba Fett movie, in fact, was going to be connected to the Solo movie in the same time frame, and then they were going to bring in Alden to be like, they were going to have Boba Fett be in the Solo movie,
no.
and then connect? No, not even that. Not even connected to that.
You don't. If you have Han Solo and Chewbacca, you don't make a movie called Boba Fett and be like, this is a Boba Fett movie. Again, he's a side character. He's an action figure. That's pretty much what he is. I know people get mad about that, but that's what that's it. Sorry.
I get mad about that, John.
What?
He's only a side character in one story, but in another story, he's the main character, and Han and Luke are just like background characters for his life story, his own personal journey.
Nobody cares.
No?
No.
All right. Get out of here. All right.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe the Boba Fett movie isn't going to happen, but episode 9 is happening. Let's move on.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So episode 9, let's talk about Solo for a second. Solo was the first movie that they didn't do in December, and we're kind of looking at it now. Possibly even Bob Iger's looking at it and going, maybe we should have stuck it in December. So now that we know episode 9 is coming in December, it seems like all the other movies are like, that's just going to be a bulldozer. Like that thing is going to just crush everything, which is interesting because we were talking about it being, the number 1 box office last week. But it looks like Forbes was the people that actually came up with this, or they noticed that all these other studios and even Disney themselves are just like, let's clear out this area 100%. We saw what happened with Solo being too close to Avengers. We don't want that again. And if we move our movies, other movies will follow suit. And it was this big thing. What do you guys think about, Lacey? What do you think about, all these movies trying to clear out of December and just get out of the way of episode 9?
I don't think this is surprising at all, guys. I mean, Avatar moved their date, and James Cameron was like, well, I'd feel bad for Star Wars if we were on that same date. Like, that's what he said for Last Jedi. So I don't see this as a surprise whatsoever. People are clearing way for the movie that's going to make buckets of money, the one that everybody's going to want to see. Like, it's one of those movies that, like, my parents didn't see The Last Jedi. They saw The Force Awakens. They'll go back and see this one because they're going to push it in marketing as the last one. So, I mean, with an asterisk being like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's not really the last one, but they're going to say it's the last one to end the saga.
Oh my God, Avatar 2 is going to bomb so bad.
Do you remember when he said that?
I don't remember.
It was supposed to come out on Last Jedi, and he said, I'm going to move it because I'd feel bad for Star Wars.
No, he's going to move it
because James Cameron, shut up. He's
going to move it because he's still like in a pod at the bottom of the ocean looking for the Titanic or something. Like that guy delays all of his projects. Like they're filming it now. I think there was no way he was.
They're
getting
doing 5.
Yeah, that's
it's not
insanity.
3 anymore. It's 5.
That's insane. It really is insane.
They changed the logo though. No, it's 5.
They're doing 4. No, they're doing 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Yes,
they were originally going to do a trilogy.
5. That's 5 Avatar movies.
5 total.
I can't even sit through the one.
Oh, yeah. 5 total. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, the thing about James Cameron though is don't count him out. He did Titanic in 1997, and he didn't do another movie until Avatar. And it's like both those movies were insane. So, and there's a huge time span there. So if he's, I know, but I'm just saying. I'm not trying to defend him either. I think he's crazy to say I feel bad for Star Wars. Don't get me wrong on that. I'm just saying
filled
you
our
can't
Avatar
count out
quota for the year, though. Talking about it.
Yeah, you can't count out the dude who has like 2 out of the 3 top box office of all time.
I was about to say, well, it's going to be a sequel though, and then I'm like, oh, Terminator 2 is like the greatest sequel of all time. So that's tough.
And Titanic 2. Actually, that's sunk.
Oh, jeez.
Oh
no! What happened?
Brutal.
Moving on.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy that Jumanji 3 and Frozen 2 were supposed to be in this time frame too, and they're like, get them out of there.
You know what's funny though about episode 9? Like, I was thinking about this because. And we touched on this last week. Like, you know, Lacey was like, they're going to really push hard that it's the last one and that sort of thing. And it's almost going to be the Star Wars, like, flexing its muscles again, like redemption. Like, all right, we took a loss with Solo, but we're back and we're bullies again. Give me your lunch money type of thing. Even so that Frozen just today, I heard, got moved up 5 days. And so even, they're realizing the whole Disney product that are our own, we have to move those as well. So it's like Solo is the sacrificial lamb of learning from their mistakes sort of thing, which makes me love Solo even more. It's like Solo is Han Solo. It's like the lovable loser who just figures out the way,
He does it the hard way. He manages to make it work, but
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this movie's gonna crush. When I'm looking at anything even near it in terms of box office, like
Good luck.
It's going to annihilate.
And you're
With
talking about
just
Avatar
me.
5, right?
Avatar 5, when you really round out that story in the 5th chapter, like the
When is
fourth
the fifth
one,
one supposed to come out?
I think 2097. I think that's when they said that it's going to be released.
No, yeah, I don't remember specifically. I want to say 2025 or 26 or something like that. Something along those lines.
We're going to be
yeah.
watching movies and a chip in our brain, and James Cameron's going to be the person who invented that invention.
We're talking a lot about Avatar, but they did mention that Sigourney Weaver said that they just finished filming 2 and 3, and they're starting or in the process of doing 4 and 5 right now. And I'm like, dear God, man, just let one, just test the water with 2. But oh my gosh,
At least they changed their logo.
I didn't even remember what their logo was.
Oh,
It
the
was
papyrus
papyrus.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They changed it after, I think.
John's
the
like,
SNL
I
thing.
don't know what you're talking about.
I could not. It's amazing how little I care about Avatar. Like, oh my God. And I saw
guys.
it in the theater like 3 times, and just like I don't even care.
Slightly off topic. Do you think that the title for episode 9 will be blue or green or red again?
I'm saying green.
You think they'll do that?
Yeah, I think they'll do green.
Lacey, what do you think? You think they'll go green for the first time? They've done red. They've done blue.
What was blue?
They did.
Well, first off, all
Yellow was
Force Awakens. Oh, that's right. It was. Yeah,
Red
you're right.
was Last Jedi. I think.
But the
they're gonna do
originals
blue.
were all blue, weren't they?
What?
Am I wrong? The originals
wrong.
were blue. Okay.
The originals weren't anything. They didn't do that. It was just this is a new thing.
I think it's gonna be blue.
I think green.
I think green too, just because it will be reminiscent of Return of the Jedi when in the third one he shows up with the green lightsaber.
I think
Here's
green.
why I'm thinking blue.
All right, and then
Because Celebration 2016 was blue, and then Celebration this year is yellow, and the last Celebration was red for the Last Jedi.
Now, the reason I think it's going to be green is because a lot of people are pushing like fan-made stuff that it's going to be blue, and I think Lucasfilm's going to be like, well, we don't want people saying we took their idea, so even if they had blue in mind, they're going to be like, nope, flip the script, we're doing green.
Yeah.
Boom.
I've seen Celebration logos.
You're gonna be like brown.
2015 was green.
No one called it.
2015 was green, and then there was one when I was still there that they were pushing a purple one around.
Ooh,
Little Mace
Yeah.
Windu tributes.
Yep.
Waste Mindu.
Waste.
Hey, you guys want to
Windu.
take a second and talk about the recovering John Williams?
Oh, thank
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, so we had talked about it last week. We just put out our well wishes, to him to get better, and it looks like all of our well wishes worked because he is reportedly doing just fine. So
I was at work.
We
and
prayed to the score gods.
I was at work, and we have like an open floor plan, and I stood up, and I was like, I just want everyone to know that John Williams is doing okay. We're going to be good. And everyone was like, what? And I just sat back down.
Were they like, is that someone in the mailing department downstairs? Like,
What?
Yeah. John, do I know John?
And then the girl next to me, Jessica, she's like, right out of college, she was like, who's John Williams? I was like, he hasn't done 9 yet, Jessica.
yeah. Yeah, you know what's funny about that? It's like the selfish part of me is like, I hope he stays alive to score episode 9. But then it's like, does that mean I'm like, I don't care after? Like, I don't want to say it like that,
No, we always care.
So it's
Yeah.
because he said this is gonna be his last Star Wars movie, but he didn't say he was necessarily retiring. So I always like his scores, even when I hear a good score. Like when I was watching like Catch Me If You Can like a year ago. I was like, this is such a cool score. I'm like, who did this? And it's like John Williams. I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy.
He's done
does
everything.
everything. Yeah.
He's done everything.
My God. Yeah.
I've been listening to that Tron score. That was John Williams, right?
Oh, Daft Punk.
No, it was Daft Punk.
That's my like go-to soundtrack if I like want to get stuff done. The Tron Daft Punk.
Have you heard the remix of it?
I don't need the remix. I like the
Oh,
original.
dude, you need the remix. It's so
No, I don't.
good. They brought in all these. Yes, you do.
I'd
They
rather
just get
be talking
more.
about Avatar
Just get
right
more
now.
of the same thing. We're talking about Daft Punk. We're talking about Tron, Tron
God.
Legacy.
So, guys, episode 9 score. Do you think he's gonna really work in a lot of the old themes as this whole like comes full circle thing? You think we're gonna get a lot of Duel of the Fates, or you think it's gonna be strictly what's been happening in this trilogy, like Rey's theme and the Kylo theme and that stuff?
I think it's gonna be
I mean,
Rey and Kylo.
Yeah, I'm on record right now for saying I didn't love The Last Jedi score because it was the greatest hits. It was a lot of the same songs that we've gotten before, whereas The Force Awakens was all new stuff, and I was really excited about that. So if I think that Episode 9 is going to be similar to Episode 8, because he's kind of set that precedent, I think that that's kind of what it's going to be. We might get a Duel of Fates or something in there. If Anakin shows up, it could be cool to see something. You know, I'm just saying it could be cool to see something.
I can't wait to hear the soundtrack when
attached to
Ben
the
turns
prequels.
to the good side.
That's not gonna happen. Okay,
It's actually gonna sound just like this.
Because it's not gonna happen. Yeah. Track number 0 is the Kylo redemption theme.
It's Ben-demption.
Ben-demption
That'd be
theme
funny
is
if
track 0.
If someone in charge of the marketing
Keep trying to get to it.
Like we've talked about this before, how they screwed up when they released the track list for Episode 1 first, and the last track was Qui-Gon's Noble End, and people are like, well, now we know he's gonna die. So if like, say someone who's in charge of that for Episode 9 is like quitting, and they lie and put the track like Ben's redemption at the end, and then Kylo just dies at the end of the movie.
But it's funny you say that, though, because for The Force Awakens, the tracks are all very straightforward of what's what. The Last Jedi, if you read through those, I don't know if you remember, like, reading through it, you're like, New Alliance, what does this mean? It could be anything. Like, you didn't know that was Rey and Kylo together. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. I think they're more strategic on what they name their songs now.
Did the original trilogy... We should probably do an episode where we talk about all the music, but because I need to fresh up myself in terms of track names. Did the original trilogy have story-based names to the tracks? Was it like, you know, Han's
Princess
escaping?
Leia, Han and Leia.
Was it just like, was it escaping the Death Star, or was it like anything like that, or was it just more of like...
Honestly, I can't really tell you other than stuff like the song's called Twin Suns. So obviously that was written, or it was titled
Binary
based on what
Sunset.
was going on in this.
Oh, that's right. And those things didn't come out, like, I imagine back then they probably, with the way technology was to press albums and stuff, they probably came out after the movie came out anyway. It wasn't like, all right, we got these ready to go and stuff like that. So they weren't spoilers anyway. But, and there was also not, like, no one cared. Like, remember Mark Hamill was talking about when he first got the script for Star Wars, George Lucas was like, yeah, show it to your friends and let them, ask them what they think.
Let them read it.
Yeah.
Casual.
Now it's like, give me your phone and, like, you can't talk to anybody.
Here's a fun fact. We may have already talked about this on the podcast, but do you know what the first piece of media for Star Wars was ever released?
The first piece of media?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? A comic book, the movie,
was
something
it a
like
book?
That. It was the book. So the novel for Star Wars was released, I think, 5 or 6 months before the movie was out, which is interesting because we always think it started back in 1977, but there's that and a couple other small pieces of things that came out before the film was ever released. So like all the spoilers were there, but obviously that didn't exist back
and
then.
no one read anyway. Yeah.
And probably very few people read that book.
Right.
It was published. So surely people bought it. Surely people, saw it, read it.
And Don't Call Me Shirley. I have that book.
Call You Shirley.
I have that book in the trilogy, like the original trilogy, like pack of one book. And it has like all the scenes with him and Biggs in there, and like all this stuff that was definitely not in the movie, like page filler stuff. And probably a lot of stuff they shot for the movie too that they cut out, because there were a lot of scenes with Biggs that they cut out on Tatooine and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine, because when they were making the movie, obviously, like all sorts of stuff was changed around. I wonder if they made the movie and they had it locked, wrote the book, but the book just came out first, or if they were like, this is what we think the movie's going to be. They wrote the book, and then, because I think I remember even Patrick, who used to be on the podcast, I think he said something. He read the book one time, and he's like, there's a bunch of weird things in it that are different. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. But I kind of want to read it now, just 'cause.
Yeah.
Just because Lacey does not care. I think it'd be interesting. This came out before before the movie. You know,
I read it a long time ago, like after
In a galaxy far, far away.
There she is, so clever.
Hey-o!
I read
Got him.
I read it about shortly after the special editions came out is when I got that book and I read it and I was like, this is interesting, but let me pop that VHS in and just.
And I was like, John can read?
Yeah.
I was shocked too. I was very shocked that I was able to read, but I was.
These words make sense.
And I
These
did.
symbols are legible to me.
Yeah. I still can't read that Arabesh though, so what are you gonna do?
I can make my way through it. Definitely can't speak it though. That's nuts.
Alex Damon
speak it?
right? Can he?
I don't think he can speak it. No. I think he. I could be wrong. Alex, can you speak it?
Star Wars Explained. Can
Star
you
Wars
explain
Explained.
whether or not you can explain Arabesh?
Explain to me via a phone call or a text. Let me know.
Explain to me right now if this segment is over.
It is.
I think the
I don't need
segment's
Alex Damon
over.
to tell me that.
And that's why we're going to send it to John for the Scoundrels Rundown.
Nope. We've been through this. No. Yeah. There's not enough news to run down for you guys. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bounce it right over to Lacey, and we are going to hop into your questions in hashtag AskTheResistance. Lacey, what do we have from them this week?
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. You've got questions. We've got lots of Star Wars answers. So first, you guys always ask us questions. So this week, we decided to turn it on you, and we asked you, do you think Star Wars Episode 9 has a chance to pass The Force Awakens as the top-grossing Star Wars movie of all time? Or is The Force Awakens unreachable? And our top answer was by @alongtimeago SW, and they said, difficult to see, always in motion is the future. We will see the hype. Yeah, I got it, John.
Oh, I was telling
Did you know that Yoda says that too?
Oh.
We will see the hype at Star Wars Celebration Chicago, and if JJ delivers an awesome trailer, it may have a chance.
Solid
I
answer.
can't wait for Celebration. Guys,
You know who else
we're under
says
way-
difficult to see, always in motion in the future is?
Excuse me.
Newt Gunray says that.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So we've gotten answers from people. I don't know if you guys listened to our episode last Thursday.
I don't know if you guys have listened to our episode.
So we
from
played the
last
game
week.
Who Are You, where we guess quotes, and I deserve to have tied Lacey for the
No,
lead.
you didn't, because you didn't pick the character I picked.
That
It's
doesn't
literally
matter.
Titled
Which
Who
is
Are
so-
You?
That
Such
doesn't
a
matter.
ridiculous
Yeah, that we're
rule
changing
that
that
Lacey
rule.
made
That is
up halfway
absurd.
at the end of the game.
I want to thank all the people that tweeted saying I should have tied or won, so I appreciate that. Thanks for being honest and playing by the rules. We got to keep Lacey in line sometimes when she tries to cheat to win.
I'm not cheating. I won fair and square.
Yeah, just like Lando wins ships fair and square. Just stop.
I didn't cheat. How did I cheat?
You tried to bully me with the rules.
I didn't bully
Yeah,
you.
that's what I would say.
I
The
said
only
that
thing
the
is
game was called Who Are You? I picked which character I said. You chose the wrong character. Thus, I didn't give you points.
I mean, that's ridiculous. It really
that
is.
is literal facts.
But Lacey, how could he possibly
there's
have
no.
known
Yeah.
which of
she
the
knows
two?
That. She knows that.
Yeah.
What's good about us doing a video now? Everyone sees her laughing, knowing that she's full of it. They can see it.
Oh,
Nah, dog.
nah, dog.
Nah, dog. All right. Anyway, so Joe Labrasi at KaiJoe_Ren asks, how involved in Episode 9 do you think Princess Leia will be, and do you see any way that Episode 9 ends with Leia still alive? I'm going to take this one. Ladies first. So yes, absolutely, Leia's going to be involved in Episode 9. We've talked about this a lot, actually, over the past few weeks. We talked about it a lot with Clayton when he was on. Clayton Sandell, who gave us some insight that they're using footage from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi of Leia. I think since Han is gone and Luke is gone, I think they have to use footage of Leia to keep the story going. We haven't really seen her interact with Kylo at all, and that's a big role in his life, so we got to have that closure. I think there is a possibility, and we've talked about this before, that she could end up alive at the end of this movie. we don't know what scenes they've left on the cutting room floor, so it's definitely possible she could end up alive. And we also talked about this a little bit, is it would be super painful to have to watch her die on screen. Even if you don't think about it and you're like, oh, well, obviously it's fake. No, it's still going to hurt. So I can't see them doing that unless it's done in a really good way. Because no matter what, it's just going to be kind of rough. Because it still hurts. It still hurts.
That's a good point, Lacey, because they likely didn't film a Leia death scene, so they would have to manipulate it.
Yep.
And that would be in bad taste, I think.
Well, it would be painful to watch.
I mean, she could disappear in the Force like Luke did or something like that. And that wouldn't be too bad because it would just be like, pull the opacity down. But
tech jokes on this podcast.
Tech jokes. Hey, give her that outer glow.
How do you make a podcast about Star Wars more geeky? Get in tech jokes.
We talked about Avatar and opacity.
Yeah, and Lacey just did this with her glasses.
I've done that 3 times this podcast.
It was more than just Avatar. We had a a font joke.
A papyrus joke.
Papyrus, yeah. All right. But no, I think you're right. I think there's a possibility that she could potentially make it out alive. That would be kind of crazy, but
that would be awesome.
But I don't know. Yeah,
that would be the answer to the angry fans that they're killing their heroes. Like if she gets to survive.
Right.
You know?
I honestly think it comes down to
we all thought she might
painful.
not make it. We thought she might not make it through Last Jedi.
Right. Yeah.
It's true.
There was that possibility too, and we're like, hold up. You kept her alive? Like, I don't know. Like, some people thought the perfect moment was that in the ship, and stuff. Yeah. Or no. Well, yeah, but
I thought
more like when she got blown out.
Oh, I thought the even better moment was when, like, have her run the ship through the other ship.
But they didn't have that footage.
I know, but I'm saying that would have been a good moment.
Well, okay.
What they should have done is filmed a couple characters doing that.
They
and then
should
they
have
decided,
known.
Like Akbar. Anyway, we'll not get into that. Next is
special features, alternate endings, like everybody.
Pick your ending.
This is Poe running the ship in. Here's Elo Asti running the ship in, or whatever.
I like Elo Asti.
And then there's one with just like the crystal fox, just like.
Here's Luke. He hollow forced project himself onto the ship, and
and then it's Snoke.
And then his
there's
ghost.
One copy with just Snoke, Chewies, and the
yeah.
Let's just name every character.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
because it's funny no matter what character it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
John.
Wicket.
Wicket. He's leaning against.
He pulls the thing. All right, what's the next question?
Next is Mark Hatfield at Mark Hats, and he asks, do you think we will see the Outer Rim allies in episode 9? And if so, who do you think they will be? Mandalorians, if possibly? Hopefully? Please? James, I'm going to let you answer this one because you're like totally obsessed with the Mandalorian, so it's perfect.
I'm gonna say no, in the sense of, I don't know, man. This one's tough. I think that by the time the movie starts, they will have already set up who their allies were, and we'll get some of that information in books and comics and things like that. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think they really want to spend a whole lot of time on how the Resistance got kind of to where they are. I think they just kind of want to say, so in the crawl, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened. So here's where the story is. It's 5 years later and they're just ready to get ready to start another big attack on the First Order. I think that's all they're really going to do. Now, in the movie, they have their armies, so we might kind of see some of that stuff. But I don't think they're going to do the Mandalorian thing because I think they want to focus Mandalorian stories on that show. Mm-hmm. And if people feel like they got Mandalorians in episode 9 and I don't know, maybe they didn't like what they did with them, then it puts the show Mandalorian in a weird spot too, I don't know.
Well, you're getting 10 hours or 8 to 10 hours of Mandalore footage next year in that show, and then you're like, do you need to put them in 9?
Yeah, but I'm also saying too, like, what if you haven't caught Mandalorian yet? You just haven't got around to it, but you're gonna go see episode 9, and you get there, and you're like, oh, there's Mandalorians in this, and they kind of suck. Like, you don't kind of want to go see it, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that, I mean, I think that it could be cool, but I think the focus is still gonna be on, I don't know. I'm second guessing myself. I was going to say the 28 people of the Resistance. Like, it's got to be bigger than that. You got to see other people involved. So, but specifically about the Mandalorians, I'm going to guess not. How about that?
All right, cool. Next is Blogga the Hut at Blogga the Hut. Hey, Blogga. And
What
they
up,
said,
Blogga?
was Luke seeing the future when he saw his friends being hurt on Bespin? If the answer is yes, does that mean that Vader was torturing Han, Leia, and Chewie, knowing that Luke had already sensed their pain in the past? John, you love Bespin.
Yeah,
What do you
Bespin's
think?
great, especially Cloud City. Yeah, I think Luke was seeing the future when he was upside down, and then he like launched Yoda. Concentrate, you know. But if the answer is yes, does that mean Vader was torturing them knowing he'd already seen it? I don't think so. But I do think Vader did it knowing that Luke would be able to sense it, not necessarily in the past or when. He did it to bait him there, for sure. No, and when you look at it, and especially once they fill in the story with, you know, Anakin in the past, how he sensed his mom suffering, he sensed Padme's future suffering. It's all there. So he probably knew, well, if I've gone through that, then he probably can too. How do I get him here? Boom. Go after her, go after him, all the people I know he has close feelings about. So so to run it down, I do think Luke was sensing the future. And he even talked to Yoda about it, and Yoda's like difficult to see, you know. Always in motion, that sort of thing. But do I think Vader knew that he was sensing it to then, and that's why he did it? No, but I do think Vader deliberately did it to bait him there. So I think it's kind of a cross answer there. So I hope I answered enough for you, but thanks for the question, Blog of the Hut. Appreciate it.
Nice. And then our next question is from Fake Feinbaum at fake_Feinbaum. And they said, I'm curious to learn how you guys got into Star Wars. I grew up with the original trilogy in real time, saw A New Hope in theaters at 7 years old. Since you guys are so much younger than this old nerf herder, oh, you're not that old. What got you into it? Parents, friends, the Force? James, I'm going to start with you. We're all going to answer this question. What got you into Star Wars, James?
For me, Star Wars was just kind of always there. Obviously, I'm younger, so the movies were already all released before I was even born. So the concept of Star Wars was just kind of always around. My brother had some toys, things like that. Kids at school liked it. And I enjoyed the prequels when they were released. They weren't big to me necessarily. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, episode 1. I just was like, oh, cool, new Star Wars. I like this stuff, you know?
Pod racing!
It's really weird. I can almost pinpoint the time where I started caring about Star Wars again, and that was somewhere when I was in the band around like 2010 or 11. Actually, probably maybe 2009. But I just remember there was a specific time where I was like, oh, I'm gonna get all the movies, and I'm going to watch them straight through in like chronological order of when they, not when they were released, but as the story went through. And
not
I really
Lacey's
paid
order?
attention to them. Yeah, not the 4, 3, 7, whatever it was. It kind of made sense. And you never gave us your official on that. We were going to make it. Yeah, 8. It's like that Friends thing. It's like that Friends thing where they're like, 7.
Yeah, whatever scene that scene is. 47 minutes, episode 8. 47 minutes, episode 8.
Okay.
Lacey, yeah, you
bring
should
it upon
make that.
yourself. How dare you?
You're going 8. Once you get on 8, you just stick
Just
there.
stays on The Last Jedi. Yeah.
No, but I remember like talking to my band members and stuff like, what do you guys think of this? And like, what do we know about this character and stuff? And they were, they were interested, but I really was like trying to dive deeper in. I remember I was tweeting a lot about it. Like, who is Yaddle? Why is Yaddle a thing?
We're all still saying that.
Yaddle.
I know, exactly. I'm like, what do we know about this character?
My favorite is still San Diego.
And then,
when Dave Filoni was like, he asked him about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yaddle.
So then in 2012 when they announced there was more movies, or when was it? 2013?
You're right.
Something like that.
2012.
Yeah. 2012. I was just like, oh, this is awesome. And like, this is my perspective. I loved that they wiped away Legends, because then I didn't feel like I had to catch up.
Sorry,
I was
guys,
like,
but it's true.
I can start fresh. I love Star Wars, but it's just so much. So it was right about that time that I said, I'm going to dive deep in and really try to absorb as much of the new content as I can, so that for years and years and years, I'll have a lot of ability to actually talk about it more in depth with bigger fans. So that's my story, man. What do you got, John or Lacey?
John, how'd you get into Star Wars?
So I watched it when I was little with my dad, and I remember him tell me about Luke Skywalker, and my dad would do awful audio impressions of lightsabers. He would say "wong, wong, wong," and I'd be like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I would see the movie, be like, "Oh, it doesn't really sound like that, but okay." But I remember being really into the look of that Empire scene with the Luke versus Vader, and then the one with the Palpatine and Return of the Jedi, and then like it just kind of went away for a little while for me, and then I got a little older, and then the special editions came out, and that's when it really reignited with me. I was like 14 when they came out in like February of '97, and I just remember seeing it in the theaters several times, and that really fired me up because there was an audience there, and you almost like in a cheap way felt like, oh, I'm seeing this when it first comes out because it's in the theater and everyone's excited about it. And it wasn't one of those things where they were like, not my Star Wars. It was like, no, it's the special edition. Okay, cool. We're not a-holes. And then seeing Empire and Return of the Jedi, and that really fired it up for me. And then getting those Power of the Force figures and in the boxes and all that stuff. And then, when the prequels,
the Pepsi cans,
that was
the Mountain Dew
prequels.
cans.
That was episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
So my friends and I skipped school, and back in the day, you would actually camp out for tickets still. So we skipped school, and we hung out all day outside the theater for episode 1 tickets a week before it came out, and we just had an awesome time. And so that whole era from like 97 to 99, I really just launched my Star Wars fandom to a new level. I always liked it, but that's what really took it off.
The rest of the world, blackout.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, right. But it was definitely that era. So the special editions, say what you want about them, I think there are a lot of people like me who really re-engaged with Star Wars because of those. And I think they're important too, because when you go back, like SW comparison, whatever that Twitter account is, when you go back, even the minute things that they updated makes you able to watch the original trilogy compared to the new trilogies and make it feel like it's still a cohesive thing. Because if you still watched old blue faded prints of the original trilogy and tried to say that happens around the same time as these new movies, you're immediately sucked out of the story. So I think the special edition was important for several reasons. One of them, because it got this guy really into Star Wars. And if you don't like me talking about Star Wars, then I apologize that they made the special edition. But otherwise, that's why.
Nice.
Lacey, come on.
I've liked Star Wars for a very, very long time. And this is kind of a funny question to me.
In a galaxy far, far away?
Yes.
I thought Adam Driver was announced in like 2013, so it can't be.
All right. So a couple of years ago, actually, my best friend, we were having dinner with my parents, and she had gone, so what is all of this? And she used her whole hand along my whole body. Like, who started
what is
this? Like, because I was wearing a Star Wars shirt at the time.
Okay.
And my parents were like, what? And she was like, do you like Star Wars? To my mom. My mom's like, no. And my dad's like, she's like, do you like Star Wars? And Bill Gill was like, no. And she was like, so how did this happen? So this is how this happened, guys. Little Lacey.
Do you call your dad Bill Gill?
I do, Bill Gill.
Okay, caught that.
Yep, Bill Gill. So little Lacey was in 2nd grade, and she was walking through Stu Leonard's in Danbury, Connecticut, and where the floral section, where the floral section is now, used to be a movie section, and they had the 3-pack VHS set with Darth Vader's face on it, and I went up to it and I went, "What is this?" Mm-hmm. And my dad said, "That's Star Wars," and I said, "I want it," and he said, "Okay." And that was it. And so I actually show and tell for the people that are watching on the video. So I have this lovely little like description of me. See, there I am.
Oh my God. Look at those bangs. See, I told you bangs make you look younger.
Are you Perry Nemiroff?
Bangs. So right here, if you can read it, she loves the color purple, eating pizza, and watching her favorite movie, Return of the Jedi. Parenthesis, her hero is Luke Skywalker.
Lacey, were you a Prince fan?
What?
He says you love the color purple.
No, I just like purple. Purple's great.
It's the movie. You've never seen the movie?
The
Oprah?
album?
But I always thought that was really funny.
Oh, no,
that
that's
I was just
Purple Rain.
My
I'm
hero.
sorry.
Because picturing little Lacey, which this is so funny now, that I made the teacher's assistant, I dictated that she had to put in her hero is Luke Skywalker in parentheses, that, like just so people knew. But yeah, no, I've always liked it.
Now, when you talk about, that box set, is that the one with Vader, the Stormtrooper, and Yoda, like the THX box set? Is that the one?
Yeah, whatever the one that the VHSs make Vader, which is still at my parents' house. I have to go get it, but it's like each VHS makes his face.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I think that's even older. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, if you find that, because that'd be cool to show everybody.
Yes, I will search in my parents' house. I'll be like, Bill Gill, hook it up.
And then we'll find a VCR and we'll see if they still work.
Yes.
Did you see that viral tweet about the VHS Classic? Like instead of like PlayStation Classic, like you could buy VHS Classic and it has preloaded like
my mom still has all my Disney VHSs and stuff.
I'm sorry, we got you away from your explanation.
I've always liked Star Wars. It's just been a huge passion of mine. I've always loved the, good versus evil. I loved Luke Skywalker. I love the idea of going off and doing something great and being a part of something bigger than yourself. And, then I got to work for Star Wars Celebration for a little bit, which was a dream come true, and meet all these really cool people. And then here I am now. And that's it.
Hooray!
And it had nothing to do with Adam Driver, and it had nothing to do with Kylo Ren. I've always liked it.
Yes.
So, fun fact of the day.
And you will like it after Kylo Ren.
He's happily somewhere else living his life out.
And listeners, if you think she's telling the truth, you assume too much.
Oh God! And guys, let us know also when you.
Did you like that at the end? By the way, that I left that in.
Yeah.
I got it.
Brutal.
You nerd.
But yeah, let us know, guys, how you got into Star Wars in the comments on this YouTube video or...
This is my favorite thing. By the way, there's no wrong answer. I want people to know that. Just because I've liked it since 2nd grade doesn't mean that you're wrong for liking it only because of The Last Jedi.
There's probably people who got into it from The Last Jedi. I mean,
and
it
that's
doesn't...
fine.
Yeah. There's people who may be getting into it now with Star Wars Resistance, right? So...
Right.
Yeah, let us know...
Like it how you like it.
Let us know how you guys got into it. These are the type of conversations I want to have with people when we go to Star Wars Celebration. Just nerd out about stuff that is behind us, not necessarily what's ahead of us. So
slumber party.
Hit us up and comment and all that stuff, and let's keep that conversation going. But is that it for the questions?
Oh, yeah. So thank you guys so much for being a part of Ask the Resistance. If you want to be on the show, send us a question on Twitter, #AskTheResistance. It could be about anything Star Wars related. I mean, it doesn't have to be Star Wars related, but we prefer it be Star Wars related. And you could be on the show. Back to you, John.
All right. That pretty much brings us to the end of the show, guys. So thank you so much for listening and watching our first video broadcast on YouTube. If you're doing that, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got more crazy stuff coming, and you can see that they are trying to distract me right now, which is very nice.
What are you talking about? The podcast.
Right.
They don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, the audio. The people listening on audio have no idea. So anyway, Guys, make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube or iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify is our new recent venture. So if you want to hit us up there, do that. Head to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more, and all the articles on the news stories we covered today. You can go to tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast for your merch. We have about 40 different designs on there, including, I don't know if we have the Star Wars Newsnet shirts, but we have our Gary the Porgs, our Make Solo 2 Happen, our Supreme Leader, Kylo Ren shirts, which Lacey has like 12 of those or something like that.
I do.
And
Don't forget that we recently changed the logo, so there are new shirts coming as well.
yes,
we totally didn't mention that. We have a new logo.
we do have a new
Yeah.
logo. So I think we already have people asking about that on a t-shirt. But what's good about our new logo, if you haven't seen it yet, you can see it start popping up in places like SoundCloud, our YouTube handle, RBATSWNN. And we're going to be doing different color variations of that as well. But we're kicking it off right now with the orange and black colors of the Resistance. You guys can find me, John Hoey, on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com every week. And James Bainey, how about you?
Always on Twitter, obviously, at Meyer Trunks. If you want to catch some personal stuff, I post some stuff with family pictures and things like that on Instagram. Also at Meyer Trunks. And that's it. No wackiness this week.
All right. To the point. Can't believe it. Lacey, how about you?
I don't know what to do with my hands because James had no wacky things to say.
Yep, I just went straight to the point.
I know.
Like the point, like the end of
cool.
a pencil.
So I'm still eating Halloween candy. Woohoo!
Not like paper.
You can see my Halloween decorations on my Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, or you can talk Star Wars with me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin as well. Maybe I'll take a picture of my description of my little 3rd grade bio book with my bangs.
And post it on the Patreon.
Maybe I will, because in 1 week we are launching our Patreon.
Yes.
I'm so excited, guys. We've put so much thought and work into this thing. I'm excited for you guys to see what we have.
Want to
to offer.
stay tuned till Thursday's episode. We'll probably talk a little bit about that.
Yes, that is correct. So yes, guys, as they just said, make sure you tune in on Thursday. We will be doing, instead of a discussion about Star Wars content, we'll be talking about our Star Wars content. So we're going to do a discussion giving you all the full details on all of our tiers, all of our options, all of our cool things that we're going to be doing on that page, and also some of our goals on what we want to do in the future with it too. And of course, we want to hear from you guys as in terms of what you guys want to see on there. And so this way, when you do listen to that episode this coming Thursday, you'll be ready when, a week from today, we launch the Patreon, and you know exactly which tier you want to hop onto, which level, and when you hear the tiers and all the stuff that we got going for you, it's going to be pretty exciting and pretty cool and pretty immersive. So we're very excited, as they just said. That pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. So again, enjoy your weeks. Stay tuned, and Thursday we'll be talking Star Wars, but also, like I said, that Patreon, and we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.